Ah, this is living quarters. Even more likely to have a golem inside then. Yep. Oof, this gemstone, not gemstone, this ring is Victor's lifeblood right now. Hopefully it's not limited in its uses. The arcane enchantments he sensed from it didn't give that feeling, but he's quickly overcoming the initial terror that he felt when facing these golems. Wow, a belt of frost giant strength. This wide belt is made of thick leather and studded with iron. It grants the wearer the strength of a giant and the ability to make devastating melee attacks. This, of course, Victor knows is more of a myth than anything. It does greatly augment one's physical abilities, but it does not actually give you the strength of a giant. It just amplifies what you already have. Another rusted item, a thunderstone, which will be a neat little thing to... Nope, that was the wrong one. Is that one? Yes. Neat item to hold. Oh, this one actually still has a name. The City of Shadows. This tome appears to be a long-winded... I thought that was saying derogative, but it was not. Diatribe against a rival city. The City of Shadows, as it was known, was apparently founded by a former student of Undertine's own High Arcanist. The unnamed student apparently claimed to have discovered a new source of magic he called the Shadow Weave, though the High Arcanist claimed to have discovered it first. A mage duel was scheduled, but had not yet come to pass by the time this tome was completed. Most likely never did. However, I think Victor will actually take that. Oh, it crumbles in your hands. Unfortunate. That could have been a bit of knowledge that Victor could have studied later on. This Shadow Weave concept clearly was something that actually existed if there was going to be a mage duel over it. Unfortunate. There was a lot of ancient arcane knowledge here that he could use to help people. It was unfortunate he was limited in time and usage of anything that he found. 2 more small rooms, and likely another infested area. Yeah, he could hear the slight chittering of beetles. I suppose he should clear those out first. The golems were much easier to deal with. A bunch of fire beetles. Well, let's see about gathering them all up in one spot then, shall we? I just realized he does not have Cone of Cold anymore. That might have been a mistake. Okay. New plan. We're going to do this instead. Alright. Now, do you have it in you to coup de grace these? You do not. Okay. Shift to the useful one. And start laying out the standard fire beetles. He can't even one-shot a fire beetle. There we go. He was steadily getting better at this. It was still most certainly not his preferred means of combat, but every little bit helped. And his enchanted armament certainly assisted him as well. Take it out. There we are. Oof. Every time dealing with them, and he was sure there were much more in here, likely spiders judging from the cocoons that dotted the area. But he would handle the golems initially first, if nothing else. He was certain he'd heard one slightly clunking within this room. Oh yes, he most certainly had. It was very helpful that that ring activated so quickly. He recognized the energies these things were summoning. Taking a incredibly potent variation on Melf's acidic bolt was not on his list of things to do today. Color spray, that'd be useful. Oh, I thought he had a stack of that already. I guess not. Same with Charm Person. I must have either used them or sold them or learned them. Right then. Anything on the crumbling bookcase? The Art of Lichdom. A foul odor clings to the pages of this ragged book. In rather gruesome terms, it discusses the process by which a powerful arcanist can slowly transform himself into a lich. The frankness with which the topic is discussed leads you to believe that this was a relatively common practice in ancient Netheril. Well, they were a society based on slavery and potent magic and scientific exploits, not unlike the Red Wizards of Thay. In fact, if he was correct, he was fairly certain the Red Wizards were actually descendants of such. Either way, he had more important things to think about. The only information he ever wanted on liches were how to kill them more effectively, and as far as he knew, that was already fairly simple. You broke their phylactery, and that was that. He was beginning to worry that these golems were going down too easy. This had gone from terrifying to relatively easy to deal with. He wasn't quite sure how to handle that. A Nethries axe. Weapons such as these not only protect against magical attack, but they also improve the wielder's ability to research new spells and make him more aware of threats. Long research has traced their origin to the extinct Nethri civilization, but of their creator nothing is known. Well, it's not exactly something that many would want, but it is a powerful enchanted axe. It's most certainly going into one of the greater magic bags. He'll sell it. Boots of Striding +2. Another very useful item to have. +2 is where they start actually becoming useful. Though for Victor it'd only be +10 health, so not quite worth it. Right. Now we get to face the abundance of spiders that Victor is almost certain that are going to linger this area. See if he can increase his chances of survival a bit. He seems to not have any issue dealing with them, but one can never be too safe. Or perhaps there aren't any more. Well, that'd be lovely, but he doesn't think his luck is... Ah, there they are. As anticipated, that dire spider is going to be the worst bit to deal with. And that's why, right there. Taking a flame arrow directly to the face and not even blinking. Victor may rememorize some other spells at this rate for some more AoE. Just because I'm curious, a sword spider. With their chitinous, seemingly metallic shells, sword spiders are hard to kill. More dangerous, however, are the sharpened blade-like appendages that give them their name. That was a new one for me, so I was just curious. Why are you not? Right then. Now, can you finish it off? I think you can. There you are. Fantastic. Victor had never actually envisioned himself as much as a warrior, but apparently he was getting better at it, if nothing else. And there was the Crypt Tower. Well, now he'd found all of the areas. He still needed to finish up removing the golems, however. Ah, another spider, of course. Switching staves real quick. Didn't do much. Not surprised. Well, let's try this instead then. Well, that did something. Not enough, but it did do something. There we go. So you can finish it off with just your stave now, Victor. And Victor, surprising even himself, landed an incredibly heavy blow against the creature, knocking it upside the head. I'm apparently getting much better at this. Perhaps not giving himself enough credit. Well, there's another one. Right then. Fairly clear what that one's there for. He'll have to act quickly on this. Oh, there's two of them. And spiders. Right, well, maybe the golems will be nice enough to clear out the spiders for him. That would be nice. He can hear them fighting, so that's something. Right. Well, let's deal with you first then, shall we? And he can hear the fireballs in the distance going off, so clearly the creatures are very much fighting. And they do appear to be damaging them a bit, but Victor is quite content with dealing with them from a distance. Right then, he's going to have to be very quick at this. Perhaps even a distraction is warranted. Yes, they're still locked in their little thing. Right. Summon that, and then we'll rush over. That should take the initial hits for us. Sorry, Spider, but it's a bit required at the moment. Then that, and that. Thankfully, the spider is doing exactly as Victor had initially hoped, and was acting as a fantastic distraction, buying him just enough time to finishing off both of them at once. Ooh. Right then. That was a much more risky situation. Seemed to have worked out, however. Well, enchanted bolts, that's not a bad haul for dealing with two of them. He wished they were in better shape so he could study them more. Golem creation was one of the pinnacles of wizard. Huh, I thought I heard something. It was one of the pinnacle arts that came with being a wizard, and yet Victor had never actually delved too far into it. Then again, he actually hadn't had much choice in trying to do so. He had sort of just been thrown into this head on. His arcane abilities had most certainly increased significantly, but his actual knowledge had yet to catch up. He supposed he would be spending a lot of his time after all this, assuming he lived through it, and he actually forgave himself for all that he had failed to do. He would begin filling in the lack of knowledge that he now had. Let's see, was that all 10? He's lost count. Indeed, all 10 of the Guardian Golems have been destroyed. Though Ashtar's task was not an easy one, it is now complete. Your master will want to hear news of your accomplishments. If nothing else, perhaps he will reward us with something. On the other hand, if he removes this collar, well, with that thought, Victor will take a moment to, apparently stumble upon a new threat. Now he's most certainly going to be taking a moment to recharge everything. If he can kill the stupid lizards, he will not feel bad for doing so. Well now. Victor was actually getting quite confident in his martial prowess at this rate. Still, he was not confident in them enough to try and tangle with the entire tribe of lizard folk on his own. Closing the gate and once more taking time to recover and regain his power, it was time to see afterwards. Well, that'll probably be cut out. There will probably be another cut there. My apologies, having more of those than I originally wished. I might have knocked over an entire stack of papers next to the mic. In any case, after having recharged his energies and refocused himself with the gate locked behind him, he was now confident enough that he could attempt to deal with the lizard folk. Of course, there was no guarantee that he would even have the choice of fighting them, but Victor wanted to be prepared, just in case. He'd take a special satisfaction in cutting down the people that had not only killed Dorna, but were also active slavers.
The guardians fall silent. You have done well, my slave. My thralls continue to work on the passageway, but we are not free yet. For my own safety, I will not remove your collar, but you are free to wander where you will.
You understand what I say, do you not? Besides, my slave, perhaps you will find some other way out of here, one when my foolish thralls cannot. You see why I must keep you under my thumb? Yeah, Victor's not pleased. He would have absolutely loved to cut down the Asabi. But since he clearly doesn't have much of a choice... Oh, apparently the ring destroyed itself as well. Right then. If nothing else, maybe he can get something more out of the Ashtara. My only promise was that we'd discuss it. Consider that promise fulfilled. In truth, I had hoped the passageway would be clear by now, and I could free you without concern for my safety, but alas, it is not so. Regardless, you have earned some portion of my trust. Go where you will, explore the various towers. I will not trouble you. And until my thralls have cleared that passage, I will remain here, happy to trade wares with you. Well, I suppose I need supplies, then I'll sell you some of what I've gathered. The reaction's unfavorable, but doesn't mean much. Actually, before I do that, because I'll do that off screen, let's level up again. He's really getting up there in the levels. I feel like we just did this. I guess he is alone now, so the XP, he's not even really using summons much. So the XP is just purely hammering into him. Well, if nothing else, he's going to become quite more competent at a very high speed by being forced to work alone. Flesh to Stone is a fantastic way, since we're playing on hardcore rules. Oh, but Greater Stone Skin is great too. Oh no, we're getting to the area of of very useful spells. Tensor's Transformation is great too, especially since he'll be on his own for the foreseeable future at this rate. Well, Greater Stone Skin can only be used on yourself. So Tensor's Transformation will be better than that, I think. We'll use it as a fallback. And then, what's the specifics of this? The subject in all... What? Oh, the subject in all possessions it carries turns into a mindless, inert statue. Only a stone to flesh spell can restore the subject to normal. Under normal difficulty or easier, the duration is 1 round per caster level. Higher difficulty settings make the petrification permanent. As well, if the caster rests, any creature turned to stone by him will be restored as if the Stone to Flesh spell had been cast upon them. So yeah, it's extremely useful. I guess it's a Fortitude. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Fortitude. Oh boy, it's a hard call. I guess the other option would be the Dire Tiger, which is by far the best summon in my opinion. Although Planar Binding is decent if I recall. No, Greater Planar Binding is what I'm thinking of. Choices. We do need some AoE. Yeah, okay, let's get the AoE in there. Just so we have the options. Alright. Do some fiddling on there with this. Ooh, we get an extra Flame Arrow spell. That's fine. That's still fine. Tensor's Transformation. Running out of slots. I guess we'll put it here. It is just a fallback spell, so... what am I doing? Habits. After recovering his focus, we'll now, I'll cut this out. I'll sell all the enchanted items that Victor has collected, and I will be back with you guys in one moment. Alright, so I just wanted to show you what I kept. I sold all the enchanted stuff except for the Branch of Giving, which I kept just because it could be a useful little thing for plot stuff and story things later. He kept the topaz and the diamonds and the fire opal for crafting sake later, which will happen off screen, obviously. I'll do slideshow things of it if I do it just like I did for his cloak. Alright. Well, if nothing else, he was now free to wander about. Hopefully by the end of all this, he'd at least have a chance to cut the bastard down. He no longer had Dorna there to help ease his bloodthirsty side when it came to those that were very unsavory as individuals, and perhaps that may end very badly for him. For now, he put such things from his mind, and tried to remind himself to be better than that. They certainly deserved it, but he had much higher concerns. In this case, adventuring into this so-called Great Library, wondering exactly what was inside. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching. If you enjoy my videos and don't want to miss out on future content, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification button. If you'd like to support me on a more personal level, offer recommendations, chat with me, or vote on future series, then consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Thank you once again for all your support, and I can't wait to see you in the next chapter of our story.